Electricast.
The new LinkedIn Hiring Pro can't undo your last hire. The human postponer. They were the master of one phrase. I'll circle back on that. But 3 months later, you were the one doing all their work and wondering how big that circle is. But LinkedIn Hiring Pro can take the hiring load off your plate by automating the hiring busy work from the initial job post to scheduling interviews. Hire right the first time with LinkedIn Hiring Pro. Post a free job today at linkedin.com/quality.
Welcome to Her Extraordinary Life by Design, where we celebrate women who are shaping their lives one extraordinary day at a time. I'm your host, Leslie Gaudette, self-care coach for women who are ready to make self-care a priority to support them in life and business. Every week, I'll be speaking with inspiring women from various walks of life who will share their personal journeys and will discover how they have fearlessly carved their own paths as business owners, passionately pursuing their dreams and creating a meaningful impact on their communities. So let's get started. Hello, and welcome back to Extraordinary Life by Design podcast. I'm your host, Leslie Gaudette, and today I want to talk about something that I've been noticing online for the past, I would say, at least for the last 8 months. I've been seeing consistently posts in online communities where I'm a part of, and even just regular Facebook posts as well. I'm starting to see a trend, and it's really made me stop and think about what's been happening lately, because what I'm seeing are intelligent, respected women with great careers and businesses. Many of them lead teams, are part of teams. They work in incredibly stressful environments. And lately, what I've been seeing post upon post upon post is where they're being incredibly raw and vulnerable, like it's a cry for help. But we don't know who they are because they don't post using their face and their name. Instead, they're using the anonymous filter. And then when I see posts that read like where a woman will write something and it's whether she's questioning whether she wants to continue in a career she spent years building, or admitting that the business that everyone is congratulating her for building doesn't feel the way that she thought it would. And it's also affecting her personal life. And when I see posts like this, especially in communities that have been created, I think that's what communities are for community, right? Like to bond and to be able to support each other. But when I see in these posts like these, in these communities that are being created for professional women or business women, women in leadership, I may not know her name, but there are 3 things I can usually tell about her. First, she knows how to make decisions because her days already require her to make them. Second, she knows how to lead because people already look to her when something needs direction, clarity, or steadiness, whether leadership appears in her title or not. And third, she knows how to communicate because she's learned how to explain herself, negotiate, to present, reassure, and say what needs to be said in rooms where her credibility matters. And all of this can be done as her, with her name, with her photo, with her filter. But what I'm noticing when it comes to this particular truth, where she's being open and vulnerable and sharing a side of herself that's really deeply personal, she chooses the anonymous filter. And like I said, I found myself wondering about that more and more. And more importantly, why? Like, why is this happening more and more? What's happening in our world that we live in that it's come to this, where we land in the communities that have been built to support the journey that we're on. But when it comes to us asking for help, when it comes to us asking the hard questions, we can't do it as ourselves. We don't feel safe. And I don't think that these women are hiding because they don't know who they are. I think they're choosing anonymity because they know exactly how much their name carries, because her name is attached to her work, right? Her clients, her company, her reputation, her professional relationships, the people she leads, the people who come to her because they believe she has the answers. And once her name's attached to the truth that she wants to say, she won't be able to control where that truth travels to, who will hear it, who will see it, who will read it, who will remember it, who will change the way they see her because of it and judge her for being open and honest. So it just feels safer to click the anonymous filter. And suddenly then she feels safe enough to say the thing, the truth, the hard truth. And that's really cut me to the core. It actually hurts. Because when I think about what these women are facing, what they're sharing, what they're facing, and feeling like they have no other recourse but to do a complete reveal without the reveal of who they are. It's almost like the anonymous filter is the only place where she doesn't have to think about what her honesty is going to cost her or will cost her tomorrow. And listen, I don't want to make anonymity the problem because I don't believe it is. Sometimes anonymity is the only way that someone's truth gets said at all. But I also keep wondering, why does an intelligent, capable woman need to remove her identity before she can tell the truth about her own life? Like, why does her name make the sentence harder to finish? And as I think about it, maybe she's tried to say it before in the communities that she's part of, maybe to family and friends or someone that she trusts. And maybe the person she told immediately started offering solutions. Maybe they reminded her how fortunate she was. Maybe they told her not to make a decision while she was tired. Maybe they reassured her that she was doing a wonderful job when what she actually needed was room to admit that she didn't want to keep doing whatever it is this way, or that she just wanted to be heard without someone trying to fix her. And while she's saying all of this, telling someone, maybe she was watching their body language. She noticed their face change just slightly, but enough for her to feel like the conversation was no longer only about what she was carrying. And that made her feel now that she also had to manage their reaction to it. And I believe that when that happens, that changes what gets said next. Because when you're sharing something deeply personal and true for you, and you're trying to manage the room, to manage someone else's reaction, to soften what you say so that it doesn't make them uncomfortable, you start editing. And you start to soften parts that sound ungrateful, leaving out the part that could make someone worry about you, immediately defaulting to that you're fine, just so that you can make sure that they know that nothing's seriously wrong, and reassuring them before you've even had a chance to hear yourself. And when your truth arrives, and your capable self starts to clean it up so that it's acceptable on the other end of the conversation, what I'm starting to believe is that maybe that's the reason why the anonymous filter is getting used more and more. Because in those instances, no one knows who you are. And even if someone familiar sees it, they read it, they comment on your post, they don't know it's you. And so there's no expectation for you to return immediately to that version of yourself that they already know, that they feel comfortable with. And it can be very complicated being known as the capable one because it can affect what you're willing to say. Being known can feel good, right? It tells you and it tells them they can trust you. They respect your judgment. They value what you bring into a room. They know that they can depend on you. You've earned that. You've built relationships around it. You're deeply proud of the woman that you've become in order to carry that kind of trust. And yet, being known can also affect what you believe that you're allowed to say because you understand the role you occupy. You know what people expect from you. You know which version of you they know how to work with. You know which version of you makes everyone else feel steady. But being the capable one isn't always the most comfortable chair in the room because everyone else may think it's fine, this relationship aspect of your capabilities. You can feel confident and proud of the woman that you are in this role, but you can also be tired of always being the one that people depend on to be counted on to be the dependable one. And listen, you can be respected for that role. You can feel deeply honored to be regarded that way, but you can also be tired of being that person who always knows what to do next. It can be exhausting. And that's a completely normal and human experience. And sometimes you just need to lay that down. You just need to lay that shit down. Sometimes you just need a place to say, I don't need advice. I don't need to be fixed. I just need somewhere to say what I'm thinking and feeling without it becoming a problem that I have to solve tonight because someone's feelings got hurt or someone didn't understand why I feel the way I feel. You may simply need to hear yourself say it without having to defend it, without having to explain it, without having someone decide that your honesty means that you're falling apart. And this is the safety piece that I keep thinking about. when it comes to the women I'm seeing on social media using the anonymous filter to be seen and heard without being seen. And when I say safety, I'm not talking about being protected from every uncomfortable feeling. I'm talking about the practical safety of not having your honesty follow you into Monday morning, not wondering whether someone from your company saw the post, or wondering whether a client now questions your ability to lead them, not wondering whether a family member is going to call you and ask what you meant, that if you're okay, wanting to get into this big conversation with you, not having to delete the post later because the relief of seeing it has now been replaced by worry about who may have read it and what they think about it and what possibly they could be judging about you, even though they don't even know it's you. And that's a different kind of pressure, right? And I think the women who are using this filter are not only telling us that this pressure exists, they're showing us that it does. Because every time they use the anonymous filter, it's showing us that she's been carrying a lot of weight for a very long time, and she finally couldn't hold it in anymore. And the only way she felt safe doing that was to switch off her real identity and replace it with the anonymous filter so that she can say it without having to manage what happens to her identity afterward. That's the safety piece I'm talking about. She's not necessarily afraid of her own truth. She may be thinking about the social and professional cost of being publicly connected to it. And listen, a post can hold the words, and I love that online communities that they give them this space to write what they're carrying. But I also think that the anonymous filter has made many conversations possible that may never have happened otherwise. And yet at the same time, I've been thinking a lot about what a post can't carry, because it can hold your words, but it doesn't hold the pause before your words. It doesn't hold the moment when your voice changes because you've reached a part that's really hard to say. It doesn't hold a nervous laugh that tells tell someone that you've been trying to make something sound smaller than it feels for you. It doesn't hold the relief in your voice when another woman says that she understands. And a written post can be edited until it sounds composed, right? Over and over again until it sounds just right. But your voice, when you get to speak your truth and to hear yourself, to tell the truth about how you really feel, that's the moment, right? You get to hear yourself. You get to hear your truth. You get to speak your truth. And it doesn't mean that you need to tell strangers every private detail of your life or that speaking is better than writing. I'm simply saying that there are things that we hear in one another that don't come through in a paragraph or on a screen. Sometimes it's when you hear a woman take a breath after she said something that she's never said out loud before, and you hear the room remain with her. Nobody rushes to fill the silence. Nobody tries to turn her sentence into a lesson. Nobody tells her what she should do next, because her words are allowed to just exist in the room without immediately becoming a problem to solve. And I think we need more places like that to be human. And that's why I created the Faceless and Nameless Gatherings, with our first one that's going to be held on July 23rd, where you show up to the virtual space as yourself, no name, no face, no title, just you. Your professional identity doesn't enter before your voice does. You're not introduced by your company, your title, your accomplishments, your business, the number of people you lead, the number of people who depend on you. You don't need to establish your credibility before you speak or have to explain why someone like you is having this thought. You don't need to make the sentence sound intelligent enough, reasonable enough, or polished enough so that everyone understands you. It's just you, your voice that enters the room. And for me, creating this space where your voice gets to lead the conversation, that matters to me. Because when we enter most spaces, we're immediately placed into a category. People hear what you do, and they begin forming an idea about who you are. They decide what questions to ask. They decide what we might know. They decide what kind of support we might need, if they believe we need any at all. And sometimes your title becomes the filter through which everything you say is heard. But in these gatherings, I want to remove that filter. Not because your accomplishments don't matter or that what you do doesn't matter. I just simply want you to come in as a human being going through a human experience, and you just bring all of yourself with you, and you don't have to perform the public version of yourself while you're there. Now, these gatherings are not a place where you come to be fixed. It's not a group coaching session. I'm not bringing you into the room so I can analyze what you say or give everyone a list of actions before they leave, because I don't believe every share needs an immediate strategy attached to it. Sometimes you already know what your options are. You've probably considered them more carefully than anyone else knows. But what you may not have had a chance is to have a place where you can say what those options are asking from you, where you can say that both sides are true, that you're grateful for what you've built and you're tired of how much of it that it requires of you, that you love the people who depend on you and you don't want to be needed in the same way every single day, or that you just need to be taken care of too, that an opportunity is good and you still don't want it. That you know what the sensible answer is, and you're no longer sure that the sensible answer is the only one that you're allowed to consider. And that there's nothing wrong with needing a place where those sentences can remain unfinished for a while. And so what I believe and what I built is a space where what happens in the room stays in the room. It's not being recorded or analyzed for later. It's simply an intimate space where there's no cameras, no real names, no titles or formal introductions. You simply enter with an identity created for the gathering, where you'll still be you. You'll still bring your intelligence, your experience, your discernment, and everything you know about your own life. You just simply won't have to attach your public identity to what you choose to say. And you'll always decide how much you want to share. You don't have to tell your whole story. You don't have to explain every detail so that everyone understands the context. You don't have to speak before you're ready. You can simply listen if that's the most comfortable for you. You can notice what comes up for you as you hear another woman speak. You can share a sentence. You can share the question that you haven't been able to ask anywhere else. You can let your voice be heard without turning the moment into content, advice, or a public declaration. That's the room I wanted to create. That's the rooms that I am going to be running. I think many of us have become very skilled of walking into spaces through our roles, right? I know I have. For more than 4 decades, I've worked in the legal industry. I know what it means to be professional, prepared, dependable. I know what it means to be trusted with important information and important decisions. And yes, I'm proud of that part of my life. But I also know that there are questions that don't arrive as the professional woman. They arrive when you're sitting alone after the laptop is closed, when nobody needs an answer from you, when the role you know how to perform so well has gone quiet for the day. That woman deserves somewhere to speak to, not as the polished version of self, but as a woman who is human first and who simply needs her voice to be heard. I've also been thinking about what this could become over time. A real community, women building relationships, supporting one another, having conversations, attending larger gatherings a few times each month, still bringing the full power of who they are, but without needing to place their public names and faces at the center of every interaction. I can see a place where anonymity isn't used to make women smaller. It's used to remove the pressure of being publicly identifiable while they say something true. I don't know exactly yet what shape that's going to take, and I don't need to force that today. Because right now I'm beginning with one room, 10 voices, no faces, no names, no titles, just women in the room being heard, with their voices being heard. And then I'll listen to what the experience tells me. So as I said, the first Faceless and Nameless Gathering is happening on Thursday, July 23rd at 12 noon Eastern. I still have a few open spaces available, and I know that you might be listening and have heard me mention the gathering, but you hadn't really fully understand why I created it. You may have wondered what it would feel like. You may have wondered whether you would have anything to say, or wondered whether entering anonymously would feel uncomfortable or strange. And maybe you've just simply been on the fence. So that's why I wanted to bring you behind the reason. I wanted you to understand that this isn't about hiding who you are. It's about entering a space where who you are publicly doesn't decide what you're allowed to say privately. Because in every other room, your name arrives with context, right? It tells people what you do, who you work with, how they know you, and what they have come to expect from you. But in this room, none of that gets to speak before you do. You're not erasing yourself. You're removing the part that makes you calculate how telling the truth might affect the way people see you tomorrow. You get to say what's true before deciding what it means, what you're going to do about it, or whether it needs to leave that room with you. So, If you'd like to join us, you can find my email address in the show notes. Just send me an email with the words yes to the gathering, then I'll send you the information and the registration link. Again, there's no recording. The group will remain limited to 10 women. And once the spaces are filled, this first gathering will be closed, but I will be doing more. So if the July gathering is full by the time that you reach out, I'll keep your information on my spreadsheet and I'll let you know when the next gathering is scheduled. And full transparency, I'm not adding you to my general email list. I don't believe in doing that. I don't believe to add someone to my list without permission. So you will only be added to my spreadsheet. Now, before you go, I want to leave you with something to sit with. Where do you currently feel able to tell the truth only when your identity is removed from it? Not because you're weak or that you don't know your own mind, but because you already understand what your name, your role, your reputation asks you to consider before you speak. And I want you to just notice what came to mind for you. You don't have to decide what to do with it today. I just want you to think about this because maybe you've been posting on social and using the anonymous filter, and now you realize it's time for your real voice to be heard. And if you've been waiting for a place where your voice can enter before your title does, actually, your title doesn't even enter the room. Your name, your face, your title does not enter the room, just your voice. I hope that you'll join us and that I will hear you in the room. So, thanks for spending time with me today. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I hope to hear you in the room next Thursday, July 23rd at 12 p.m. Eastern. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep believing, and keep designing your extraordinary life one day at a time. Thank you for joining me on Her Extraordinary Life by Design. I hope you've been inspired and empowered by the incredible stories shared on this show. If you enjoyed this episode and the conversations we've had, I would greatly appreciate if you could take a moment to leave a review. Your feedback and support mean the world to me, and it will help others discover the podcast and join our empowering community. Remember to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Together, we can continue to learn from these amazing women, uncover their extraordinary journeys, and be motivated to create our own lives by design. Thank you again for tuning in. Until next time, stay empowered and keep shaping your extraordinary life one day at a time.